Hello, welcome to the Berkshire County Board of Realtors and Multiple Listing Service Clear Cooperation Policy Training module. We're going to cover everything that you need to know about this new policy that's taking effect May 1st. So what is the Clear Cooperation Policy about? Very simple. Within 1 business day of marketing a property to the public, the listing broker is now required to submit the listing to the MLS for cooperation and compensation with other MLS participants. So many have asked why. Why is this policy coming into place now? And there's actually many reasons, but it's very pro-consumer. It equally protects the seller and the buyer's best interest. It's flexible for many circumstances for how listings are taken in today's day and age. It adds a lot of transparency to the home buying process, and I'm sure that many of our members agree that we could use a little more transparency. It ensures fully informed sellers about market exposure, meaning you have to have a conversation about the impacts of sharing the listing to the broadest range of people possible. It ensures that buyers have a fair and equal opportunity to buy. And as we've seen in the past, say 1 to 2 years, that has been problematic in all parts of the country, with listings selling very quickly and people not having an opportunity to even know about those listings, never mind have an opportunity to see them or to make an offer on them. And it also helps avoid liability issues when there's a limited exposure without full disclosure of what that actually means. It's also pro-realtor. The public should not know more about the MLS market or more about the real estate market than the realtors who pay to create this system. And by holding MLS membership, we've all agreed to cooperate. And the purpose is that we do this in an orderly and efficient way to make sure that everybody can serve their clients to their best interests. And it also eliminates the need for you to hunt for pocket listings, track these coming soon signs, find those Zillow listings, search social media posts, and just dig into places that you normally wouldn't have to just to find out what properties are on the market. The Clear Cooperation Policy just reinforms the entire real estate community what it means to be a member of the MLS. We're going to cover Clear Cooperation in 1, 2, 3. 3 simple ways to understand how you have to submit listings to the MLS. The first is for all listings. Within 1 business day of marketing, you have to submit that listing to the MLS. Within 2 business days of the seller's signature, which is our current policy, you have to submit the listing to the MLS. And that's whichever comes first. So that moment you drive that lawn sign into the property, the moment you put out the Facebook post or throw it up on your website, create a flyer for your window, anything that is any sort of marketing of that listing outside of your listing firm generates a new deadline, which is 1 business day. You still have the 2 business days if you don't drive that sign in that first day you take the listing. So it's a whichever comes first date. The second type of listing we're going to cover in a little bit more detail as we go through this training is a submission of listings that are not yet ready for showing. Typically referred to as the coming soon listing, which is getting some marketing buzz before you actually make it available for showing and for sale. And then a delayed listing, which typically has no marketing and is only put onto the market when the seller is ready to go. And then there's the third type of listing, which is used very, very rarely. It is office exclusives, meaning it must be filed with the MLS, but there is going to be no public marketing whatsoever of the listing, and the listing is probably never going to be entered into the MLS. It is an agreement to keep this private within the listing broker's firm and to not expose it to the general public. So why now? Well, at its foundation, the MLS has always been about cooperation and compensation among brokers and their agents. And the National Association of Realtors recently passed this policy to reinforce those basic goals of cooperation. We are 80 years strong here in Berkshire County, working together to list and sell property. And the system is only as strong as its weakest link. And with different new business models, different ways of marketing, we find that the system needs an update. In order for the MLS to remain strong, it has to be of significant value to the people who join. If you want to be a member of the MLS, to use this information and to use this data, you have an obligation to share it as well. And now that marketing is so quick and it's so easily accessible to the general public, it's important that we now take a step back and say, we need to treat each other better than what we've been doing. So just to reiterate, the MLS exists for 4 purposes. One is to maintain a complete and accurate database of information about properties for sale, to do it in an organized and timely manner, to promote an orderly and efficient marketplace, and to serve the interests of buyers, sellers, and realtors. And we do this through cooperation and compensation. We take it very seriously, this job, and we exist to make the real estate market work in Berkshire County. Does any of this sound familiar? You see an MLS member's lawn sign at a property, but can't find it in the MLS. You drive by the next day, you keep looking in the MLS, but it doesn't show up. Finally, it does. 3 days later, lawn sign has a rider on it that says pending. You never saw it go into the MLS when it wasn't pending. Or your buyer client asks about a Facebook listing that was posted by a member, but it's not in the MLS, and you have no way to find that listing. Or how about this? Your clients missed an opportunity to see and make an offer on a property because it came on the market and it sold before anybody knew anything about it. This is why the Clear Cooperation Policy was put into place. You belong to the MLS to receive and share property information and offers of cooperation and compensation for all exclusive property listings. And as a member, you should be the first to know about listed property, not the last. You deserve better, and that's what this policy is aiming to do. So many have asked, how can an MLS make this policy that impacts consumers? Well, it really doesn't. It is the foundation of what you are as a realtor. It involves cooperation, honesty, and respect. The MLS agreement that participants make when they join our MLS and that they agree that all of their associates will abide by have benefits, privileges of membership, as well as obligations. And those obligations are very simple. You have to cooperate and compensate in an honest and fair manner and to respect each other's business. It's inherent in our Code of Ethics. Article 3 talks about cooperating with other realtors. Article 16 talks about respecting the exclusive agency of other realtors. And then presenting a true picture in advertising is not only Article 12, but it is also state law. Please understand that when a broker voluntarily joins the multiple listing service, they gain a huge financial and business benefit of cooperation. But it relies on everybody cooperating equally. And if you cannot or choose not to, then maybe the MLS isn't for you. So when we talk about why does it matter, it's big business and a huge impact on consumers and clients. Think about 2019 alone. $587 million worth of sales were transacted in Berkshire County through the MLS last year. That's over $16 million were paid in cooperative compensation to realtors through the MLS offer. How would your business change without the MLS system of cooperation and compensation? Really, when you think about that, how, if the MLS goes away, would your business be impacted? It's very important, isn't it? It's very important to see listings and to be able to sell them for that offer of cooperation and compensation. And so we're doing everything that we can to protect that. By becoming and agreeing to follow the rules, you serve your clients in the best possible manner with the most accurate information. You work with a network of peers who are agreeing to do the same thing, and we're keeping the properties orderly for an efficient marketplace so that all of the clients, buyers and sellers, are treated fairly and honestly. So one of those sticky questions is, what is marketing? Because everybody might have a different definition. You should know it is any public announcement that this listing is available for sale. So that's, of course, lawn signs, Facebook posts. We covered those. The Zillow coming soon listing, website listings, flyers in your window. It's also email blasts to buyer clients, email blasts to a group of agents, putting it into the IDX. It's that sneak peek that you advertise on Facebook. It's anything that you're doing that are making this property available for somebody to know about it outside of your listing broker firm. So sharing your listing with a select group of buyers or sharing your listing with a select group of real estate agents all counts as public marketing. We're going to talk about some marketing compliance with the law as we go through, but remember, you can only advertise with a broker and brokerage name, only with the broker's consent and permission, has to be on a business page or a website, has to have a full disclosure of the real estate status, has to be honest and true and not misleading or deceptive at all. So that's the basis of what we're talking about when we say marketing for the purposes of this policy. So there are two types of listing that must be entered into Flex immediately upon marketing and within the business days of a seller's signature. The first is a standard listing. The listing has been signed. You know how it goes. You get the listing, you enter it in with 2 days or 1 day if you start marketing early. The second is a coming soon listing in which the seller has signed a listing agreement and a coming soon addendum, and they want to market that property for up to 7 days before it's available for showing. Those two must be entered within 1 business day when that marketing begins or within 2 business days of the seller's signature, whichever comes first. Now there's off-market or off-MLS listings, delays, and office exclusives. Public marketing is not allowed in either one of those, and they're not entered into the MLS in either of those cases. What they do have to do is being sent to the MLS office within that 2 business days as usual. So as you know, when you get a delayed listing, when you have an office exclusive, you send that with your exclusive right to sell via email to the Board of Realtors MLS office for processing. This screen might look familiar to some of you. This is what we created when we were first trying to explain this process. And basically, when you get a new listing, you just make some decisions about how you're going to market it and how it has to be entered into the MLS follows in line with that. So if your seller is ready to begin showing their property, yes, you enter it into the MLS as soon as you possibly can. You have 2 days from the time the seller signed it or the 1 day from the first time you've marketed it, whichever comes first. And that's that. Easy peasy. The next thing is if you want to begin to market the listing, but it's not yet available, or you want to build that marketing buzz, that's when you're looking at a coming soon listing. So again, that has the same requirements that we just talked about. Within 2 days of the seller's signature, that has to be entered into the MLS, or within 1 business day of the first marketing of that listing, it has to be entered into the MLS. Now the delayed and the office exclusives are a little bit different because they have to be sent to the MLS office staff within 2 days, and they are not allowed to be marketed, and they are not ever going to appear into the MLS until the time they're ready to be marketed publicly. So an active listing, available for sale immediately, available to be marketed immediately. I think everybody knows what this is, but we'll cover that just to make sure. So back in the day, you would sign the documents at the kitchen table. As you were heading out, you'd drive the sign into the lawn and perhaps make an appointment to come back to prep the house for photos and to handle things then. Now, in this new wave, with clients sometimes signing electronically, you want to make sure that it's within 2 days of their signature. But if nothing else, if you make an appointment to go back after they've prepped the house for photos and you're going to drive the sign in then, that it's within 1 day of that sign being displayed on the ground. You do have a new option when you're entering it into the MLS now, though. You have a status field. It's going to default to an active status, but you can see to accommodate coming soons, there is this option with a start showing date. That is only applicable if you're picking coming soon. You just make it active and away it goes. Kick back, relax, you're done. You entered your listing, you uploaded the proper forms, the exclusive right to sell, the lead paint if it's needed, and that listing is on the market. You can do anything you want as far as the marketing and the sale of that property. So here's a little test for you. Clear cooperation for new submission of an active listing within 1 business day of marketing or within 2 business days of the seller's signature, whichever comes first. Now the coming soon listing is a little bit different. It will be available for sale within 7 days and may be marketed immediately. The key is it has to be available for showing and to accept offers within 7 days of the seller's signature. Some people have asked exactly what is a coming soon. Basically, it's a property that is being marketed actively, but according to an addendum that the sellers agreed to, the property is not available for showings, offers are not considered, and it will come onto the market and everybody will have a fair opportunity on an active date that is expressly put out at the beginning of that contract. So everybody will know the coming soon date. They will know when it's going to come. You can start making showing appointments for that property right then. But it will not become active, it will not be available for showing, and offers will not be considered until that active date. We do have a short window. 7 days is a very short window for a coming soon period, and that was done with a lot of debate and discussion among 3 committees that have looked at all of these policies. And the reason is they wanted to make sure that the consumers had a full opportunity to see the listings that were in the coming soon status and being marketed that way. You're going to see in some further slides, we talk about some legal ramifications of advertising and to make sure that it is incredibly important that everything you say in your advertising actually comes to be. Almost more important than what a coming soon is what a coming soon isn't, and it should never be to hide listings. Coming soon is actually to expose a popular listing to the most amount of buyers. It's giving the seller time to prep their house for showings and for sale. It can be used to generate a good marketing buzz in those hot property areas, and it's to ensure a fair opportunity to see a home when it first hits the market. So, for coming soon listings, again, you can start making appointments to see that property. Typically, the seller is going to have full and fair opportunities for people to see that, and they're going to consider the offers that they receive together. And we just could not resist with the power team of Ken and Chuck, voted 8th best in real estate. What a team. So one of the things that you should know about entering a coming soon is that you have to get your broker's permission first. The broker in charge needs to sign an agreement with the MLS allowing their agents to execute coming soon listings. And the reason is because they can carry a lot of liability and they can carry a lot of penalty. And we want to make sure that the broker is aware and has signed off that they have understood the rules and that they're sharing it with everybody. This is the participant authorization form to use coming soon status. It's very simple. It's just the participant understanding and agreeing that they've been provided with the rules, that they understand and acknowledge that they are responsible for the agents, and that they have explained the coming soon status and provided this on-demand training for all of the people in their office. So what properties qualify for a coming soon? Very simply, a seller signs a coming soon addendum with the exclusive right to sell agreement. The seller agrees that there shall be no showings and no access given to any prospects, not by the listing agent and not by the seller themselves, and that the property has to be ready to go within at least 7 days. So what properties don't qualify? Well, any property that has an agreement for sale already pending cannot be a coming soon. It cannot be listed as a coming soon if it has been previously during the life of that one owner, unless it's been off the market for at least 60 calendar days. And off market means expired or canceled. It does not mean withdrawn. It has to be off the market for 60 days in order to offer it as a new coming soon listing. Otherwise, it is just an active listing that is on the market.
Hi everyone, today we're discussing coming soon listings, the differences between legitimate and improper coming soon listings, and best practice tips for how you can use coming soon in your business. A coming soon listing is a listed or unlisted property that is not available for showing or sale until a later date. Coming soon can be a legitimate advertising technique. They allow the owners more time to complete repairs, pack, or otherwise ready the property for showing or sale. A legitimate coming soon complies with state law, MLS rules, and NAR's Code of Ethics. On the other hand, improper coming soon listings violate state law, MLS rules, and NAR's Code of Ethics because they are used to circumvent the MLS, to market the property to a select group of people, or to ensure a buyer uses the listing broker for the transaction. It's possible for coming soon listings to violate state licensing laws and NAR's Code of Ethics in a number of ways. For example, state law and the code both require real estate professionals to act in the best interest of their clients, but improper coming soon listings serve the listing broker's interest ahead of the client's interest. State law and the code also both require truth in advertising, while improper coming soon listings are misleading and inaccurate. Improper coming soon listings could also violate your MLS's rules. MLSs facilitate real estate transactions as a consolidated source of accurate property information and as a private offer of cooperation and compensation. They function at their best when information is complete. Improper coming soon listings compromise that accuracy and undermine cooperation amongst real estate professionals. That's why many MLSs have strict rules to ensure proper use of coming soon. As coming soon listings gain popularity, real estate commissions are taking notice and offering guidance on how to use them without breaking state law. Most recently, the Idaho Real Estate Commission issued Guidance Number 8. The document recognizes that some coming soon listings are legitimate, while others are nefarious, and the determination is fact-specific. The Idaho Real Estate Commission emphasizes that marketing a property to only a limited pool of potential buyers for the purpose of, for example, pocketing more of the sales commission violates state law because the professional is not acting in the client's best interest. The Nebraska Real Estate Commission's Guidance Document Number 40 lists 4 criteria for permissible coming soon advertising based on Nebraska's advertising law. The advertising broker must have an active listing agreement in place. The advertising must be done in the name in which the broker does business and under the broker's supervision. The advertising must be done with the property owner's or his or her authorized agent's knowledge and written consent. And the listing must in fact be coming soon and not currently being shown or marketed to a limited group. So don't risk lawsuits by dissatisfied clients or disciplinary action by your real estate commission or MLS due to your use of coming soon. Instead, follow these best practice tips to properly and effectively use coming soon listings. First, always confirm that your advertising is legal under state licensing laws and regulations. Check with your state's real estate commission for guidance on the issue. Second, consult your MLS about any rules or requirements for coming soon listings. Third, identify a compelling reason for why a coming soon listing is in your client's best interest. Explain the limitations and potential pitfalls of coming soon to your clients, and document their consent to use a coming soon listing in writing. Fourth, always have a signed representation agreement with your client. And finally, make sure that the coming soon restriction is applied equally to all potential buyers. These best practices will help protect you, your clients, and your fellow real estate professionals. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. Thanks for watching this month's episode of Window to the Law.
And the biggest legal caution is regarding showing or access and providing it to a limited group of buyers or agents without the seller's lawful direction circumvents not only the MLS duty, but it harms other participants, it harms their exclusive representation that they have with their buyer clients, and it could potentially harm consumers who are denied any sort of representation or any access to that property. You have to make sure that what you are offering to one, you are offering to all if you want to stay within these rules. So when you take a look at the Coming Soon listing agreement, it's a part of our ZipLogics, .loop, and DocuSign forms. And what it says is that the seller agrees the date it's going to go on the market is active. The seller understands that date is within 7 days and agrees that it's going to be submitted to the MLS at that time. The seller agrees that there will be no showings, and the seller actually waives their right to have offers presented. The seller should know that the broker can be held liable for violations of state law if the coming soon listing never comes, as a breach of law governing truth in advertising for consumers. When you look at Chapter 93A, you as a licensed professional, as a business person, have obligations to be honest and forthright in the advertisements for consumers. You can't do bait and switch, and so it's very important that how you're advertising is actually something that you can fulfill and deliver to the consumer. And that's why it's very important that everybody understands coming soon listings must come on the market. To accept these listings, we've developed a process in the MLS, in the Flex process, to address coming soon listings. Now when you add a listing, as you saw before, you have the opportunity to enter a status. And if you enter coming soon, you can have a field for a start showing date. What you should know is that the coming soon status, when entered as a new listing, has to be 7 days from the list date. It will not allow you to put anything in differently. Once that start showing date is entered and saved, it cannot be changed. And listings that are already active cannot then be made into a coming soon status. So you have to do this right up front for all of your listings. And when you enter those listings, you're going to have to put in that photograph. You're going to have to put in all the data fields required for a regular listing. It's also required for a coming soon listing. And the reason behind that is simple. First of all, because you're going to start marketing that listing immediately, and you want to make sure the buyer's agents, and the entire marketplace understand what that listing's attributes are. And also because on the listing start showing date, the status will automatically change from coming soon to active. Once you enter it into the MLS, it's like the Ron Popeil of listings. You set it and you forget it because it will automatically go active on the appropriate day. It's also found right on the desktop under My Listings. You'll see a new bar say My Coming Soon Listings if you have any. It'll also be added to the hot sheet that's on your dashboard, or will also be in your generated hot sheets if you so choose to add that as a type of listing that you'd like to see. Or if you have listings that are being emailed to you, you can go in and update your preferences to make sure coming soon listings are now included. And just as a quick tip, Flex has an ability to change dashboards so that you can look at different things when you first log into the system. We have many of our users still using Classic, which is the original dashboard that was put in place back when we signed with Flex years and years ago. Many are now using the Mls Dashboard, which is this one that you're looking at now and has a little bit of everything on it. It has the message boards, has your listings, and has the entire marketplace right at your fingertips. You might want to consider looking at different dashboards as you go through this process. And then finally, you're going to see it as a new option when you're searching on statuses. Active, coming soon, pending, sold. Just add it in there if that's something that you're interested in. You're also going to find that if you set up searches for your buyer clients, they can also get the coming soon listings if you've so given them that permission. Quick tip about coming soons: the days on market start calculating on the active date, not on the date of entry. So it will be truly the days that the listing is on the active market for sale. Which leads us to the question about where they actually go. So obviously they go to cooperating brokers, they're appearing on the dashboard, they're in the search, they're on the hot sheet, and in push emails. They're also going to the cooperating brokers' buyer clients through the Flex MLS portal and push emails, or they can be also received if manually sending to clients in the system. Up to you, but it can also go to syndication sites. Using the broker distribution tab, you can select where these listings go. Not all syndication services actually display coming soons, but for those that do, you would turn it on or off here, and that is how it would happen. You can also add it to IDX searches. If those are opted for, the listings can appear on other brokerages' websites. Plus, you can do any sort of marketing or advertising that you choose as long as it is true, honest, and follows our code of ethics. You should know that there is a shift in Zillow listings, which has been the location of the most coming soon listings to date. And it's important that you understand it because right now, according to their new policy, on April 30th, they are going to stop allowing any manual entry of coming soon listings. They can only be uploaded through an MLS or a franchise feed. And that is why we as an MLS have decided to allow brokers to make individual choices about syndication for coming soon listings, because you would be prevented from doing so if we did not give this option. The MLS makes no representation and we make no advice about syndicating any of your listings. That is completely a brokerage business decision, but what we like to do is to make sure that we provide you the tools to do with what you want with your own listings. To take marketing one step further, sellers agents can use reverse prospecting to get a list of all the brokers in the MLS who have clients with matching criteria to the listing. You just enter your MLS listing number and you'll get a list of those brokers who have matching clients. You can email all of those brokers to let them know about your listing. This can be done for any type of listing, whether it's active or coming soon, and just send them a private email so that they know that this is coming on the market or this is on the market and might be of interest to their clients. For buyer's agents, you can see here we have a match contacts feature that we would encourage everybody to take a look at as well. And that's where on each listing you can use that down arrow. The second option is match contacts, and it actually looks through your contact list in the MLS and sees who has criteria that matches that listing that you're looking at. And from there you can email them quickly and get them a copy of that listing sheet and make sure that they know that that new listing is coming. So that can be done for both active listings and coming soon listings, and is a great tool to make sure that your clients are staying fully informed. There are 3 important things that you should remember about advertising a coming soon listing. First, it always has to be with your broker's consent and approval. That is according to state law. It must state coming soon on the listing. And it should provide an active and start showing date in any of your advertisements so that the consumer clearly knows what is the date that it is going to be available for everybody, and to make sure that they have that opportunity to see the property as everybody else does. Since we're talking about advertisement, we're going to just do a quick review of the basics. So advertisements have to be made by the broker according to the Board of Registration, not by sales agents. And that means that they must approve everything. You must have a corporation or brokerage name. If it's LLC, if it's a corporation or doing business as, it must have that name. There is no one-click rule in Massachusetts. We've talked about the one-click rule. You have to see the brokerage name right up front, right in the beginning. If you're working for a team, doesn't matter. You follow the exact same rules as if it's an agent. You still need all of that brokerage branding, and it has to be visible, clear, and true according to any consumer that looks at it. And so that is a part of our Code of Ethics, Article 12, but it's also part of Chapter 93A, which makes it unlawful to use any unfair or deceptive acts in connection with advertisements, and Mass General Law that prohibits the use of advertisements that contain anything that is misleading. So we have an example here of a couple of Facebook posts. We're hoping that you could look at them quickly and see what's good and what's bad. On the left side, you can see Patty and Bob Parker, the Brown team, have put up a coming soon listing. They have a fantastic new listings. They're hoping it's going to sell fast, find out about the listing before it hits the MLS. So that is obviously problematic. They also are not advertising under their broker's name. They're advertising under a team. And if you look at the listing on the right, you can see that that's coming soon. It is clearly marked as a coming soon listing. They are advertising under their brokerage name. They're advertising the date that it becomes available, and they're providing the contact information that you can use in order to get in touch with this agent. So the one on the left, no go. The one on the right, that's a good coming soon advertisement. So we're asking you, be strong, be ethical, be legal, and do not show the property to anyone during the coming soon period. And don't allow your sellers to show your property to anyone during that period. It is a significant issue. The fines are steep. $1,000 for the first offense, suspension from the MLS for 30 days for the second offense. And the third offense requires a hearing before the MLS board with the participant to determine if membership is still going to be granted. It is considered to be a breach of public trust and consumer advocacy, and so it's very important that you understand that this has strong ramifications if you don't do it legally, ethically, and within our MLS rules. So here's your coming soon listing test. When does it have to be submitted? Within 2 business days of the seller's signature, or within 1 business day of public marketing, and it has to be available for showings within a 7-day window. A delayed listing is very much like before. It's not currently available for sale, but the seller has signed a contract with an exclusive listing agency. It's not going to be marketed right now, but it will be at a future date that's usually named in the addendum, and the house is just being prepped. So a delayed listing is very much like it used to be, which is somebody wants to create an exclusive arrangement with you, but they're just not ready to put their home on the market today. What it means is there is a delayed listing addendum that's been signed as part of the exclusive right to sell agreement, just like now, that there is an agreement not to market the home in any way. The property is not available for showing to any party, and the seller is not going to consider offers until it goes active. And that's when all prospective purchasers will learn about the property and have a full and fair opportunity to see it and make an offer on the same basis. The intent of a delayed listing is never to hide it or to get an in-house sale. That is just not ever the intent. A delayed listing is truly when the seller is just not ready and needs a little time in order to get their house in order before they put it on the market for sale. We consider it's in the ready set stage. It's not quite ready to go yet. Maybe it's professional marketing materials are being created. Maybe the seller is completing work on the house, or the seller is waiting until a certain date it goes active. Maybe there's a job or a family situation that says, I'm not ready now, but I will be ready in 3 weeks. That's exactly what this is used for. And in this case, you want to make sure those delayed listings are into the MLS in time, but they are not available for anybody to know about until they are active on the market. So the delayed listing addendum lays out in very clear terms exactly what you can and can't do. It makes the seller acknowledge all of those, that there's no showings, no open houses, no display of the listed property anywhere, basically, online or otherwise, and that there shall be no sharing of that with other brokers until it's available for all the brokers in the MLS. And we're going to caution you about the same legal landmines that exist with delayed listings as with coming soons, which is it's especially dangerous if you're gaining any financial benefit, such as an in-house sale, while your seller, to whom you owe undivided loyalty, is harmed. So make sure that if you are providing access or showing to a limited group of buyers or to a limited group of agents, you have to be following a seller's lawful direction. It is circumventing the MLS duties to cooperate, and so you have to understand that there will be penalties for that because it harms other participants and it harms their buyer clients and potentially any customers who are denied representation or access. And so it's a very significant issue that we want to make sure everybody's aware of. Equal access means a limited liability. And when we talk about the seriousness of liability, there is a cautionary tale, and we only look to New York State, who just had a class action lawsuit filed against realtors for engaging in practices that encourage dual agency, encourage people to sell in-house. And we have one case that is currently going down, and when you look at it, it's talking about receiving informed consent without having all of the facts about what it means to not be giving a property full market exposure and what it means to be selling to the client of your agent for a quick sale. And it's a very, like we said, a cautionary tale that you need to understand that there's a lot of liability if you don't give the listing a full and fair market opportunity. We always get questions about where do the listings go and how the days on markets calculate. So for a delayed listing, the days on market calculate when it's entered into the system as active. Where do they go? They go nowhere. There is no marketing of delayed listings. If they are marketed in any way, shape, or form, it has to go into the MLS, and then it's just an active listing. And we record those listings so that we can keep tabs on them. They should be coming on the active date by the listing broker. We do not do that. They have to be entered as they have been promised in the exclusive right to sell and then the addendum. And in the meantime, they always need to come to listings@berkshirerealtors.org via email within 2 business days of the seller first signing that listing. And then again, when you actually enter it into the MLS system, you'll upload that document there. So the clear cooperation policy shift is all about this, that the participant is obligated to submit a full listing into the MLS within 1 business day of any public exposure of that listing. They have to offer cooperation and compensation to other members of the Berkshire MLS as soon as that happens, regardless of the listing type, regardless of anything else about the listing. So we'd like to reiterate the message that we gave about coming soon listings and say, be strong, be ethical, be legal, because again, the fines are significant for showing a property while it's in a delayed status. $1,000 first offense, suspension from the MLS for 30 days for the second offense, and all others the MLS board will consider membership. So just like it's always been, you have to submit a delayed listing to the MLS office within 2 days of the seller's signature. There can be no marketing though now going forward. If there is marketing, you have 1 day in order to enter it into the MLS for cooperation and compensation with other brokers. Now, office exclusives and refusals to list in the MLS have changed with this new policy. They are available for sale to the listing office clients only and cannot be marketed. In the past, office exclusives were marketed to select buyers. They were marketed to select groups. They might have been marketed to select groups of agents. And in this case, they can only be marketed to select buyers in the listing office. And we just want to make sure that you know that the definition of an office exclusive is different than what it used to be. The property cannot be marketed outside of the listing brokerage network of affiliated buyers. So you can't invite some listing agents to participate. You can't market it in little networks that you might have that are private. This is only for your group of affiliated buyers with your listing firm and other agents within your office. It is not for any public sort of marketing at all. Dun dun dun, pocket listings. So a pocket listing is basically slang, meaning it's not in the MLS, and some are ethical and some are not. So it's acceptable to withhold a property from the MLS when the seller says that they want it withheld and they want to limit the marketing of that property for personal privacy reasons, and that they understand that limited exposure to only the buyers within the listing firm means that the offer and the terms might be different. It is never acceptable to withhold a property from the MLS when the seller doesn't initiate that discussion about limited market exposure, when the seller doesn't understand the consequences, if the property is withheld even initially in the hopes to secure a quick sale without the seller's understanding, or a quick in-house sale even worse, and if the property is withheld to avoid the obligation to share a commission with a cooperating broker. That is not an ethical use of a pocket listing. I think this was one of the most interesting parts that I read about the national policies, where it says discouraging sellers from listing a property in the MLS is inconsistent with the fundamental cooperative nature of the MLS and the obligations of the Code of Ethics, and in some cases the fiduciary duties you owe to your clients to promote their best interest. So you cannot discourage sellers from listing their property in the MLS, especially if it is to serve your best interest and not theirs. So with office exclusive listings, it's really important to limit your liability by making sure that the no marketing is requested by the seller, that this is not a conversation that's been driven by the agent or the listing firm. It's also following of their clear and lawful directions, and while they understand the full ramifications of limited exposure to the buying market. Some ask why sellers would ever want an office exclusive, and basically it's usually a great desire for privacy or confidentiality, or a desire to limit or restrict access. It's typically sellers who are not concerned with the highest and best property exposure or the biggest price. Typically, you'll see that they're public figures. They're people who don't want their neighbors or their boss to know that they're selling because they have either personal financial reasons or they have a job that's taking them out of town. There are people who are not comfortable with buyers going in and out of their house without a significant amount of vetting, and they just prefer a private sale so that there's less prep for showing and that the listing broker is just marketing it within their buyer client list. So if you take an office exclusive, or if you know somebody who has, there can be no marketing, not a website, not a listing, no flyers in your office windows, no for sale sign, cannot be put on a tour or on a social media site, not even blindly on a social media site saying I have this property for $100,000 that's in the northeast of the city. And you cannot share with just some brokers. You have to share with all brokers because that is the point of the MLS. Again, we encourage you to take a look at the addendum that has to be signed. It's very clear that if the property is marketed in any way, the participant is obligated to submit the full listing in accordance to the electronic submission rules within 1 business day, and that is non-negotiable. If it is put out on a Facebook page, it has to be listed within the MLS within 1 business day. Now understand that there are ways that you can put it into the MLS so that there's just a cooperation and compensation agreement with other brokers, but it doesn't necessarily have to mean that it goes public. It doesn't necessarily have to mean it goes on any syndication site. And there are ways that you can put out a listing and put out a cooperative offer without making it public to the general consumer. The process is just like it was before. It has to be emailed to the MLS office, listings@berkshirerealtors.org. If there is any marketing, it has to be entered into the system within 1 day of such marketing and has to include an offer of compensation. So very simply stated, office exclusives must be filed with the MLS within 2 business days of the seller's signature. There can be no public marketing without entry into Flex MLS at all. You can see here the fine structure is a little bit different than what you might have seen last year. We changed last year from counting fines per brokerage to counting per agent. And so you can see that there's only 2 offenses per agent in a calendar year before it really gets to the point where it goes to the MLS board. You can also see some of these dollar values are a little bit higher. The MLS board went through and determined anything that involved harming another individual, whether it's a participant, a user in the MLS, or especially a consumer, those fines should be much stricter than what they were. One of the significant changes here is that in the past, failing to put a under agreement flag or changing a status to pending within 2 days of the seller's execution of the purchase and sale agreement and stopping showings resulted in a much smaller fine. This status change has been made to be the same as if you don't report a sold status, which is if there's any status change to a listing now, the first offense and the second offense are $100 fines. Questions and answers. We've been asked a lot of questions and we expect to have more, but here are a few that we've fielded so far that we thought would be helpful to include in this training class. So the first is, can a delayed listing come onto the market as a coming soon listing? And the answer is yes, although probably not going to happen that often. If a seller was busy preparing their home for sale with no public marketing, getting those floors sanded or whatnot, and then would like to build marketing buzz with a coming soon status, they can do so, but it's not required. They do have to also sign the coming soon status addendum, and so you have to kind of go in all the steps as you normally would, and they can only leave it in the coming soon status for 7 days. The second question is, can a coming soon or delayed listing go into the MLS as pending? No, it cannot. The MLS is for active listings that are available for showing and accepting of offers. If you want to share the sold data for comparable purposes afterward, you can do so after it's closed. But if it's already pending, it should not be placed in the MLS. So we received some questions about who are the police for all these policies. Well, you have been deputized. Everybody is responsible to let us know if they see anything that is not making sense in the marketplace, and checking in with the board office staff as usual. And we're going to make sure that these rules are enforced uniformly for anything that we hear about. You can use the arrow form that's on every listing, or you can call or email or text the board office staff. We get screenshots of Facebook posts, we get questions about different advertising that's seen. All of those we act on. A lot of times you might not know what the outcome is, but we do take every single complaint that we receive seriously. The question is, do I have to allow a physical showing if it's active, or is a virtual tour enough? Well, the MLS rules indicate that your property must be available for showing, and that means physical showing. How soon? The MLS has always said within a reasonable time. Now, we can tell you that during COVID, we are accepting virtual showings to satisfy this requirement. After the state of emergency, though, you'll have to provide physical property showings to list it in the MLS. So what happens if I find out my seller shared their property on Facebook while it's not on the market in the MLS? What do? Well, you enter it in the MLS right away, and otherwise you'll be subject to that huge fine. It's the obligation of the participant to adhere to the rules if you are choosing to be a member, and that requires the same rules for all brokers. The addendum to the exclusive right to sell spells that out very clearly to your seller, so you need to have that conversation and take immediate action if you learn that that property has been marketed. So the question is, why can you extend the delayed listing time but not the coming soon time? It's really simple, because the coming soon listing has been shared with the public, and we have to adhere to the Mass Consumer Protection Truth in Advertising laws. The buyers have been told that the date of that property coming onto the market, and it must come, or you have to maybe defend that in court, God forbid. Delayed listings have no public exposure, so the date can be available sooner or later as long as all of the other rules are followed. It's just, we need to be honest with the public when we're going into these listing situations. So those are the questions that we have so far. We expect that we're going to get a lot more. Feel free to reach out to your board office staff at any time when you have questions. We want to make sure that you're implementing this correctly, and we definitely don't want to be fining people for this. So reach out, Sandy at berkshirerealtors.org, for any specific questions. And as always, give us a ring at 442-8049, and we'd be happy to assist. To get a glimpse of all of our MLS policies, please go to berkshirerealtors.net Clear Cooperation. We have not only the rules and regulations there, but we've highlighted in yellow any of the changes so that you'll be able to see right away what's kind of happened. We have all of our forms being uploaded to ZipLogic and .loop now, but I did want to let you know, in case you need them right now, there are PDFs available right on our website on that page as well. And then from there, you can also get a link to this training class so that you can share it with others. Or if you need help, email and phone call information. Again, thank you so much for attending our Clear Cooperation Policy training. We appreciate it so much. We feel that we're your partner in this process and hope to serve you as the year goes on. If you have any questions, again, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks so much. Enjoy your day.